In this video tutorial, we are going to build the report that you see on your screen. The application is written in C#, and we use the reporting tool for WinForms. Our application extracts data from the Northwind Traders database, and the interesting thing is that we use custom painting to color the cells, whose value is less than 30. The report also renders the current time. We create a new WinForms application and name it Custom Draw Report. We go to the project folder and create a subfolder called References. There, we copy all reporting DLL files that are used by MindFusion reporting for WinForms component. Note that not all of them are needed for each application. We navigate to the References folder and we add the files there, excluding the charting DLL as referenced assemblies in our project. We won't show charts, so we don't need the charting library. We go again to the project folder and copy the Northwind database there. Now we are ready to add our report. We add a new component to the project and name it Custom Report. We add a reference to the MindFusion reporting namespace and make the class Custom Report derived from the report class of the library. Now if we open the file in the visual editor, it will show our report. We can drag and drop report items onto the report thanks to the Reporting Toolbox menu. It is installed with the component. If you don't want to install the reporting library, you can still add the controls if you right-click on the toolbox, choose Add Items, and browse to the location of the reporting WinForms assembly. Now we are going to connect to the Northwind database and set up the data for our application. We create a new connection to the database through the Data Connections menu in the Server toolbox. Then we add a new binding source from the Data menu in the toolbox. There we use the connection to create a dataset from the database. We use only the products table. Now if we double-click on the XSD file, it will open the dataset schema, and there you see we have a products table adapter that was generated for our dataset. We start to create our report appearance. We drag a data range onto the report area. This is the control that binds to the dataset and populates the data. We set its data source to be the binding source that we've created. Depending on the tables that we've set via the data member property, we will have field names to choose from for the controls that will be into that data range. In our case, the table is just one, products. Now we will add labels for the first 3 columns of our report. We drag and drop the label component onto the data range area. We can resize the labels with the mouse just like any other WinForms control. In the data field property in the property grid, we can see all columns from the products database. This is the idea of nesting controls in a data range. The last element is a canvas. We set a data field to it as well because that's how we will access the data that we want to appear in the last column of the report. We use a canvas because we will draw this column of the report. We want it to be formatted in a special way, so we will use the render contents event for that. In the event handler, we create a string format instance because we want our text to be aligned in the center both horizontally and vertically. We also get the data that is retrieved for the particular row that is being drawn. All these are members of the drawCanvas event args class. Let's look it up in the documentation. As you see, there are other useful properties like bounds, graphics, which we will use to draw the contents, and more. So we get the bounds of the data cell and we get the value that will be rendered. Now we check if the data is smaller than 30. If it is, we use a red brush to fill the bounding rectangle. Then we use a white brush to draw the data. If the data is smaller or equal to 30, we draw just the data value with a black pen. In all cases, we draw a light gray rectangle that borders the cell and dispose the format object. Now we have set the backbone of the report and we can check if it renders correctly the data. First, we need to fill the table adapter with the data. We create a new instance of the products table adapter class. Remember, it was auto-generated as a class when we created the dataset. Then we fill it with the products table from the dataset. Now we will add the MindFusion report viewer to the main form of the application. It is missing in the toolbox, so we will add it there manually. Here it is. We drag and drop the viewer and make it anchor to all sides of the form. This means it will get resized with the form. In the code behind file, we create a new instance of our custom report class and assign it to the report property of the report viewer. Now we can run the application and we should expect to see a basic version of the report. Here it is. The cells are colored as expected and the other labels are present with all data rows that were extracted from the database. We can change the report view from the viewer control. It is a really convenient control for viewing reports. What we are left to do now are the styling settings. We will add labels on each data column to note what the date in it is about. We change the background of each one to a solid color, light beige. The first column was the product ID. Then we have the description. We paste the same color as background to all labels. Note that we do not use data binding for them, though you could. We put plain text. The last columns are units on order and units in stock. Let's align them. We will make the font bold and a bit bigger than those of the table cells. Here is the report header. The first column needs fixing. We edit the label and resize it. The report looks okay now. We will add now a line element. It will render above the header. We add one more label to render above the line. We want to show the current time. We use the function today. There are various functions to be used in the report, as you can see in the online documentation. The square brackets tell the label that we will use an expression. We also specify the date format. Let's change the color of the date label and the line to gray. The report looks good now. We've forgotten one more thing. We can easily make the rows be rendered in alternating colors using the alternating background property of the report. We set it to a very light color, and here is our report. With that, this tutorial is finished. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your interest in MindFusion Developer Tools.